major driver for most school budgets. So there was robust conversation around that and asking legislature to either extend the excess cost reimbursements, which are typically less than 100%. And for those who don't know, the special education has extra funding that's provided from the state. If you spend 4.5 times the cost of educating your average student, every dollar that you spend above that amount, the state has a special fund set up to reimburse for those costs. However, they have a fixed amount of money that they put into that pool that all districts access. So depending on what the reimbursement requests look like from various districts, we typically see, I think, around 65 to 70% reimbursement on the dollar. So 4.5 times the amount of your average spend, and then every dollar above that, we get about 70 cents back per dollar. So there was discussion about expanding that pool of money. There was discussion about what we can do, to try to address the rising costs for outplacements in particular, which can run upwards of $300,000 a year for a student, not inclusive of traveling costs. So that was a main conversation, but there was also conversation around what to do now that the ECS funding has been reached its full funding according to the state. This was a goal that was set back in 2017, I believe. It was a 10-year rollout that they sped up a little bit. However, the ECS funding is based on a foundation amount of $11,525 per student. That determined rate of what it would cost to educate a student is from 2013, and it was not accurate even in 2013 to what the actual cost was for educating your average student. So there's an additional push to have that foundation amount reevaluated for 2026, since that is the year we're living in, to see if we could push that number up. And Dr. Casimiro also had put forth something that we brought to CABE for the delegate convention, which was to create a cost of living increase for the ECS funding, given that year over year, our costs are going to go up just the same as they would for any operating business. So that was a really good opportunity for us to get in front of legislators and have some conversations that I think could be helpful to our funding process. But I think my takeaway from that, and Sherry, I don't know if you had any thoughts about it, was that we need to really continue to advocate with our local legislators individually and certainly as a group where appropriate. But they count on getting that feedback from us consistently, because they take that feedback back to the full legislature and say, hey, we keep hearing from people on this issue. We keep hearing from people on this issue. We keep hearing from people. And that's what motivates the legislature as a whole to start making changes. So really important for us as board members to advocate on those education pieces and to encourage folks in the community to do that advocacy work as well. I don't know if you had anything to add, Sherry?
No, it's really nice to be there.
Okay. The other event I went to over the weekend was the State of the Student Conference that was sponsored by the School and State Finance Project. I don't know who is familiar with that and who is not, but it is a great resource for information about how education funding works in the state of Connecticut and some of the challenges that we're experiencing. They have a lot of data on the website, so I do strongly suggest you check it out if you haven't already. The day that they sponsor is really supposed to be centered around students and hearing student voices and getting a sense of what students feel that they are getting or not getting in the classroom. They had some really great speakers in the opening session that talked a lot about how, they are under-resourced. These are students acknowledging that they are under-resourced in school. Wow. And they understand, we need more funding to come through, but also talking about sort of the difficulty of navigating an academic environment where everything is based on testing. And there's a lot less emphasis on what it means to be creative and to have, sort of access to experiential learning, as opposed to, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to memorize some things and then I'm going to spit them back out for the test.
And then you forget them.
Yeah,
or
so,
some do.
so I think that, you know, that was really good feedback to take away from those students.
Training, or was it just?
That was like a forum, that opened the whole day. And it was a session held, I missed the actual intro of the students, but there were 3 high school students that were there, and an educator who was running the forum initially, just asking, you know, for some feedback and what the experience is like in the classroom for high school students right now. Then they did breakout sessions, and there were, you know, different pathways that people could take. They had sessions that were really centered around what is going on with the actual education funding at the state and federal level right now. There were sessions that were more geared towards what are we doing about sort of the teacher shortage and how are we going to deal with that in the future. There were sessions that were more individual, like, you know, how do we support mental healthcare for students in school right now, given all the pressures that they're facing. How do we support English language learners in the classroom? So, you know, lots of different sessions to attend. And I think this is something that it would be great for us to get on our calendar for next year for everybody, so that everybody has an opportunity to attend and participate and learn some more from this group. And there's probably a few hundred people that were there attending from all over the state. So, you know, again, it's all about building a movement and taking our voices up to the state level as a collective group advocating for education, and that's a great group to learn from and to partner with.
Thank you.
I almost forgot that I served on that panel this weekend.
I didn't
I
mention
was
Dr.
there until
because
you
you're,
mentioned it.
yeah,
I was
sorry.
like, wait, that was Saturday. I felt like 2 years ago already. This week is just so busy, but,
I should have mentioned, sorry.
No, I totally, I was like, yeah, I was on a panel.
Yeah.
And this was my second year doing it. So last year it was a panel related to the pre-connected learning and finding, you know, learning more about who's kind of moving the work. And I was asked to serve as a panel last year, and this year it was about, they did a lot of research around multilingual learners and their needs and how to build. Erica took a year off to do a lot of research, and they did a lot of interviewing of different districts. And so she pulled Danbury in because of some of the work that we're doing to talk about how we're approaching the work. And so that our second language learners are not just, you know, they go off for services and then they come back and it's separate, but we see them in the classroom as part of what they need as part of tier 1. That's critical for their needs, but, you know, good for all kids, but critical to second language learners. So language routines, building language acquisition skills, et cetera, and how we're intentional about that work, and training and learning more about it. So that was it. It was a great day. I would recommend. I think I'm going to be doing that annually. Erica seems to reach out. We have a good partnership with Erica from the finance project, and she's been a good partner for us and stuff to illuminate a lot of our financial trends and needs. She helped us advocate too for where we've been short and how we've been shortchanged at ECS over many years. So yeah, I concur. I didn't need to jump in there, Kate, but as you're
glad you
saying
did.
it, I'm like, yeah, I was there with you, wasn't I? Yeah. So.
And our, one of our state reps, Ken Gucker, was there as well.
Yep.
So there were other legislators in attendance, and that's encouraging to see their interest and willingness to participate in places that
On a Saturday,
they're not
Saturday morning.
explicitly
Good to
invited.
see.
Yeah.
Is there any questions from the committee? Any further questions from the committee, either for Mr. Seals or Kate?
I would just add, so Erica Haynes, her organization, Connecticut's State School and Finance Project, their website is fantastic. And if you're looking for some, you know, basic primer in school budgeting,
What's the name?
Connecticut's
School and State Finance Project.
Google it, it'll come right up. But there's all kinds of tools in there to compare budgets across different districts and you know, see average funding levels. It's a fantastic site. So.
Sounds interesting. We use a lot of her data to help with, when we're developing advocacy statements or tools from different superintendent groups. We often use a lot of the work that they put together to incite it, to make our points to legislators and or to SDE.
Is there any questions from the non-committee members? Before we close up and adjourn, it shows the attendance if who's, we'll check the, I guess to check the names from up there and add the non-committee members if you want.
Yep.
All right, and motion to adjourn? Any second? First by Laura. No, it has to be somebody with, oh, you have.
Cindy's in
with-
there.
yeah. Sorry, Cindy.
I second it.
Okay, and those in favor say aye.